Namaste, friends. It was not a coincidence that the concepts of zero and infinity emerged from ancient India. Zero emerged from the concept of shunya, which means emptiness. Infinity emerged from the concept of ananta, which means that which is limitless. Yogis for thousands of years did not only formulate these concepts, but they have experienced them. Yes, it is a little hard to wrap our heads around how can shunya and ananta be experienced. But let's get to that some other day. According to modern mathematics, there cannot be anything further apart than a zero and the infinity. So how can they be equal? How can they be the same thing? Let's prove it. Say you have an apple on your desk. You would say there is one apple. How can we have zero apples on the table? Well, let's remove it from the table, right? Okay, so now we have created emptiness in place of the apple. But have we? No. Even a small puppy could sniff there and know that an apple was cut there, which means some trace of that apple is still there. So how do we remove that trace? Let's remove the table. That's great. But the trace of that apple in the form of its smell, for example, is still in there. Remember, when that apple was sitting there on the table, it was in constant interaction with the atmosphere around it. That is why it was able to leave a trace that even a puppy could sniff out. So removing the table only does not suffice. So let's remove the whole house. But for the emptiness to be complete, we need to remove the minutest of the minutest trace of that apple. Because if something is still there, how can it be empty? You might say, well, for pragmatic reasons, we can assume that emptiness to be complete. That, in other words, is like saying we do not have the instruments that can measure beyond a certain precision. But for the nature, there is no such limitation. So as far as the reality is concerned, even if there is a single atom of that apple, emptiness has not replaced that apple completely yet. So let's get rid of the whole house itself. But no matter how small the quantity, some of that apple's trace did get into the atmosphere. So we need to get rid of the planet itself. Is the emptiness in that place of that apple complete now? Theoretically, no. An immeasurable tiny trace of it has spread into the galaxy and the wider universe. So to be absolutely sure that there is not the tiniest amount of that apple anywhere, let us assume we remove the whole universe from our equation. Well, now we can definitely say emptiness is complete. We have complete shunya. We have a zero apple. But look what you also have. When we have complete shunya, we also have an infinite emptiness. So shunya to be zero or nothing, only emptiness. But that emptiness is also infinite. When we reached shunya or found our zero, we also found it to be ananta or the infinite. This is the whole essence of yoga. If we empty ourselves out of the I-ness, we will also become the infinite emptiness, which we also refer to as Shiva. And that is enlightenment. For thousands of years, Bharat has been the land of the enlightened ones, who have always said the only way to discover the infinite is to develop the shunya within us. I hope you liked it. Namaskar.